Standby, we're good. I presume y'all can hear that. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very evil episode of Bloody Good Horror after months of planning, sort of. I mean, weeks of planning. We planned this for weeks.
Hours.
We are here to bring
at a
you
minimum.
quite the milestone in Bloody Good Horror history. It's not many podcasts that make it to episode 666, and yet here we are. It's the devil's number, Schnars.
It's very spooky.
Evil.
Yes. Joining me tonight. Oh, I didn't even say what we're doing. This was a secret movie pick. We are reviewing The Devils.
Devils.
From
Ken Russell's
what year did this
the
come
real
out?
one.
Ken Russell's The
Yeah.
Devils. What year did this come out?
1971.
71.
Yeah.
Very excited to talk about this movie. Joining me tonight, first up from Manhattan, New York City. He may have cut his hair, but I still love him. Please welcome John Schnars to the show.
Still 100% devil.
Yeah. Next up from Richmond, Virginia, please welcome Caitlin.
Hello.
From Indiana, Mr. Casey.
Hello.
And last up tonight, our very special guest. We had him on tonight because he knows about weird movies, and this is a weird movie. Please welcome
Devil expert.
Please welcome longtime BGH listener, host of the Films at First Sight podcast, among other things. Please welcome Joe Ferry to the show.
What's going on, everybody? How you doing?
I didn't
Hey,
ask.
Joe.
I just realized I didn't ask if last names are okay, so we can go back and slide whistle if you need me to.
No, we're all good. I just got a message. I got fired. So.
You didn't even say anything yet.
Sorry,
And
kids.
you're fired.
You were on a
Hey,
podcast.
right?
On the last episode of Films at First Sight, I literally recited Joe's home address, so I'm gonna have to edit that out. That is
Very
a true
nice.
story.
Very nice.
Straight doxed.
Yeah, we're here tonight to talk about The Devils. This is a pretty controversial movie that we're going to learn about here pretty shortly. So let's take a quick break and do just that.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big breaking TV. From the prime time. Main feature.
Welcome to Primetime, Schnars.
Thanks.
John, I'm actually going to have Joe here tell us about Ken Russell. Why don't we do that before we do Word of the Day? Because I don't yet have a
Interesting.
transition for Word of the Day. So Joe, Joe, what do you tell? Who's Ken Russell?
We do this in real time in case anyone was wondering.
Who's the-
666 episodes in, y'all.
Who's the crazy person that made this movie, Joe?
So Ken Russell is an English director. Probably just would be described as like a enfant terrible of the British film community.
Mm.
Got his start very early on in the 60s and almost immediately became notorious for this movie. He went on to make a plethora of other he loves being controversial. It's one of his things. But he made Tommy, if you're a Who fan.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Solid.
Listomania, Altered States. He always kind of delves in between the hypersexual or the psychedelic or hyper violent. If anybody's a fan of Doctor Who and British love, like rom-coms, I highly recommend The Lair of the White Worm because you get a nice dose of Peter Capaldi and Hugh Grant hunting a vampire-esque serpent who loves to spit acid on the groin of crucifixes.
I've never seen that, but I did. There's a little section on it in that 80s documentary on Shudder that it made it look pretty intriguing.
It's fucking awesome.
And it's just a cool title.
Yes.
I've heard that it's the most boring adaptation, but that's just, to keep things spicy around here.
Is that your cool film school friends, Caitlin?
I don't have any friends. They're all on this call.
Love it. Thank you for that. John Schnars,
Yes.
do you feel threatened having Joe here tonight?
Do you know how excited I was that I was like, God, somebody else is gonna have to like come up with the details to this movie? Because look, I mean, we'll get into it, but like I had heard of this movie mainly through you all, but it was not. So it was definitely a hole in my.
I have been talking about it
knowledge.
since like January of last year when I watched it on Shudder.
Yeah, I've seen Tommy. I know the name Ken Russell, but I was not I had not done any studying. So as soon as y'all were like, I don't know, Joe knows a lot about this movie, I was great. Does he have a word? And it turns out he did.
Wait, Joe's doing the word?
Well, he supplied the word.
Oh, there you go.
I
Love
was
it.
still going to do it. Full credit, though.
Of course.
Freaks me out
You're
right
nothing
there.
if not full of integrity, John. Please bring us the word of the day.
Eric, today's word, courtesy of our dear friend Joe. Appetency. Appetency. Appetncy. This is a new word for me. I've never seen this before, but I love it. It's a noun. It means a longing or desire. It can also be a natural tendency or affinity. It comes to us from the Latin, as you would probably have guessed, appetere, meaning to seek or seek after. I assume I would be shocked if it's not the same root as appetite. But appetency. Appetency. So, Joe, congrats. Great word.
Love it.
Thank you.
Did you know that word? Did you pull it out of your,
No, you were emailing us right before the show, and I'm sitting there looking up horny synonyms.
Nice. Amazing. It's what I would have done had I had to come up with my own word. So great work. Now you know. Now you know how the sausage gets made.
I knew you were gatekeeping on the help for getting a word of the day, Schnars, but I think my word Ursuline was also okay.
Ursuline, solid. It's a proper noun is the problem. I try to avoid the proper nouns. So
yes, John has
or
standards.
it's technically it's an adjective, but it is definitely a
John,
capital.
could you tell
But
me?
the sisters were the Ursuline order.
Yeah. No, you have to totally.
Hey, John, one more time for the spreadsheet. Say it again.
Appetency.
I got you.
It's like appetite, but it ends in NCY. ENCY.
John, tell me about the Devils, please.
So the Devils, again, this is a movie I'm just thrilled to have watched, and that's not an exaggeration. I cannot wait to talk about this. The movie opens with a title card that says effectively something to the effect of everything that happens here is based on fact. These events actually happened. Obviously, they were dramatizing some things, but the basic outline is you have God damn it, and I'm gonna have to pull up the character names just so I get them right. But you have Oliver Reed. He's playing Urbain Grandier, who is a local bishop or religious official, priest. He's the local religious official for the town or city of Loudun in southern France.
Ooh, I like the way you say that, Ludo.
The year is
Les
I
Incompetents.
don't. Do they give the exact year? They said it's 16th century, I believe.
I think it's
17th.
1643 or 34. They say it near the end.
Okay, 17th century.
Basically, it's not going great in Europe at the time that this movie.
Grandier is he's this local religious official, but what has happened is like the governor or the person who had run the city has passed away and effectively like made him the boss,
Right.
while they until a new election can occur.
And as near as I could tell, he is Catholic, right? Not Protestant.
Yeah.
But
No, they're all Catholic.
There
It's
are
France.
people in the city who are Protestant. So that's what's in the soup of this political time
Well-
is this like fight between Catholics and these like Protestant.
Yeah, but it's like it's a Catholic country, like so. Yes, there's some of that, but by and large, like that's
but
happening.
that conflict is used for the power grab, like later in the movie.
And you
There's
have
some of that.
yeah, you have the there is a version of the plague. It's not the like main plague, but they're definitely experiencing an outbreak of plague. So there's that going on, and Grandier is also so he's very liberally minded. So he believes in the town being sort of like having its own autonomy. He's not presented as like power hungry in and of himself. He is, I would say, he's presented as like a natural leader and an effective leader of the city. But he's also, when I say he's liberally minded, he's also liberally minded as a priest.
He's a lover.
Well, he's definitely a lover, but like, and he's a philanderer. I mean, he's like kind of going about town with a lot of different ladies. At least when
He's a stud, if you were.
Yeah.
The stud
he's definitely.
He's stepping out.
He's got a lot going on. Oliver Reed, Grandier.
I cannot wait to talk about this opening
where
scene.
I was going is like later in the film he becomes he actually gets married, and this whole question of like should priests be allowed to marry is like an age-old question in the Catholic Church, and like the fact that they put that in there has like puts him in a very specific place. But so even while he is philandering and like going about that, he's still coded as like pretty virtuous. For the most part, I don't know. We can get into it, but
that's one of the most interesting aspects of the movie is the ways you can kind of read everyone's situation.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, I mean, and just to get into the action, like he impregnates the daughter of a like fairly prominent, famous business person, who's also the uncle of another priest in town, and so this then like sets off this chain of events where the other priest reports him to the Catholic Church, who then comes to investigate, but the father just wants to like punish him, and so enlists like other local officials. There's this whole question around the town of Loudun having its own city walls and like
so
basically protecting itself
full
versus being integrated into the country of France.
Right. In full disclosure, I would not have understood a fucking thing about the politics in this movie had I not read the Wikipedia page more than once. But basically the cardinal who we see a couple times,
Richelieu,
he's in the red, and he's in that amazing Hannibal Lecter thing that we should talk about.
Yeah.
But this was a known thing in history where like this was a massive power play by him where he was basically manipulating the king.
Well,
and he is able to then, like you're saying, sort of tap into this, like these political battles happening within the city to kind of like break it from within, basically. And that's the larger like machination that's happening in the movie.
Richelieu, just to talk, I mean, maybe Joe knows more about this than I do, because like, I mean, I've never read the books, but I believe Richelieu is he's a fairly prominent character in the Three Musketeers as well. It like takes place in a similar timeline, so to speak. Isn't Father Richelieu like Cardinal Richelieu like one of the main baddies in that? No, in any event,
I have not read that book in years.
I mean, well, it's mostly from like the movie version, but we didn't go deep on Richelieu, but yeah, it was interesting that he was like the main bad. Yeah, I mean, and so what's crazy is like the plot of this movie is a little insane.
There's
Where
a lot,
it actually
there's
like
a lot
where
in the soup.
Well, Grandier's downfall comes from the fact that there is a local Ursuline nunnery, order of nuns, where Vanessa Redgrave, playing Sister Jean, is the mother superior.
Sister Jean.
Jean. She's a hunchback which I did not know going into this movie, but interesting choice. Sister Jean is sexually obsessed with
She wants to
Father
get her.
Grandier,
She wants to get her a piece of Grandier.
who she's never met. She's never met him in person. She just literally
It
like
seems like every woman in town though wants to bone this guy. So
totally. I mean, you get it. You've seen him.
he is
You know.
smoldering. Also, given the time, his place of power certainly gave him something.
I mean, his mustache primarily, I would say, but
Free
How
mustache.
do you
kids.
know she didn't meet him? She said she did.
well,
Yeah.
she met him.
She
in,
sees.
like,
I mean,
you
they
know,
see him though
the
walking. They see
other plane. I think
the nuns all see him walking through the city because they're all getting real horned up. For him.
But so what happens is the like wedge becomes they use Sister Jean and these nuns as a as like a
To basically-
tool against
right.
urban Grandier.
To claim that he was in legion with like demons and that they had possessed the nuns through him and his like
Yes.
sorcery or whatever.
Yes.
That was a pretty good synopsis, John. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. This is all true. by the
can't
way.
even
I
shade
mean,
that.
largely true.
No, it is very
Yeah.
much.
And right,
There's a
Lar-
book called The Devils by Aldous Huxley that very much goes
Little
into all
known
this.
author.
Little known author is kind of underground. You might not know him, but
All right, let's jump in here, Joe. As our guest, why don't you tell us about The Devils? And you've known about this movie certainly much longer than I have.
Yeah, I mean, I unfortunately like dwell in this like pit of weird shit, and so this movie kind of cropped up a
Unfortunately
few
or
times.
fortunately, I don't know, man. Come on.
We're being recorded here. I have to
Yeah, sure.
posterity.
For future employers now that you've been fired.
Exactly. You heard about this just kind of through just people talking about it, and then he eventually hunted down. It was one of those fabled movies for a while because it was so inaccessible, and then it kind of popped up out of nowhere, and you could see the base format of it. I fucking love this movie. It is a through and through masterpiece that manages to not only take what is essentially a period piece and turn it into the nastiest goddamn thing I have ever seen, while keeping me awake because I fall asleep during every period piece.
I mean, I fall asleep during like every movie. I mean, like I watched this thing almost all the way through. I had something to do, but like
That's impressive.
I never do. Yeah, it's rare.
Yeah, you get like the set design, the script, the performances, everything about this fucking movie is so on point. And I just have never seen anything like it. And it always feels so prescient. I mean, obviously I didn't watch it back in the 70s, but it clearly caused a big enough issue that they shelved they shelved parts of it. It was one of 3 movies. Like Warner Brothers putting out 3 X-rated movies in a singular year between Performance, this, and Clockwork Orange really need to get back to their game.
Was this really the same year as Clockwork Orange?
Mhm.
Wow.
It really makes you realize how, given the current cultural stew now, we're really getting robbed of like just demented filmmaking, like for just more Marvel bullshit and like fucking Firestarter starring Zac Efron fucking movie.
Guys, there's a new Cronenberg movie we could be out watching.
That's
right
true.
now. I
That's
just,
very
you know,
true.
it's on the docket. It's on the
I
docket.
know, I'm
We're
just
watching
saying.
my stop motion thing next, John. Caitlin, what'd you think?
I love this movie. I learned about this movie from Joe. I didn't know about it before, and Joe and I have had many a conversation about cool movies that I haven't seen, and he knew a lot about it and was able to help me access it. And actually, the first version I saw of this did not include some of the more salacious scenes that we'll get into. The version that we watched together as a Bloody Good Horror group did. So this was my first time seeing the complete unedited version. And I love a band movie. I love the whole sort of like, I don't know, sensationalism around that. I love that this mixes the sacred and the profane, and it does it really well.
It's rare with all the stuff that was on like the Video Nasties that was banned. That's just kind of like whatever. It's rare to nowadays see a movie that at some point was banned and just be like, oh no, I get it.
Yeah,
Like, I understand.
Yeah.
Like if
The
you tried to
version that
put
we
this out,
watched-
if you tried to, I mean, especially now, if you tried to put this out, like your ass would be on Tucker Carlson every night for a month. Like,
and I love that about this.
Yes.
I love the premise that there is a priest so hot that an entire nunnery gets so horned up that they need to be exorcised.
flooded.
That's an incredible premise in and of itself, and the fact that it's real, like I am a big fan of the story of the Devils of Loudun. There's the Aldous Huxley book, and then I really like the last podcast series on the Devils of Loudun. It's really good, and the movie is pretty true to life, which is, I mean, it's just really badass. I really like Oliver Reed. I really like Vanessa Redgrave. My understanding is that Oliver Reed was pretty drunk for a lot of this, which like totally tracks.
He's always drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's just Oliver Reed.
In general, listen, Firestarter would have been better if Zac Efron was drunk the whole time. Okay.
I mean, we'll get into scenes and that, but I just, one of my favorite lines is one of the sisters, one of the nuns, is looking out onto the street and sees Grandier in the street, and she says, "Now there's a man worth going to hell for." And I have a grandmother who, like, that is exactly something that she would say. So I love that.
Love it.
Maybe I'll show her the Devils.
Nice. Report back. Casey.
All right, so I'd never actually seen this movie before, but I'm real familiar with Oliver Reed through his Hammer oeuvre. He was pretty heavy involved with Hammer films early on, like Paranoiac and Curse of the Werewolf. So I was already a big fan. And getting into this to set it up, I started watching this on Monday night. It was like 11 o'clock, and I'm like, I'm going to watch half and watch the next day. But to give you the power of this movie, I got to midnight on a Monday night watching this movie. I'm like, I can't stop now. I got to keep going. It just sucks you in that hard. The story's good. The acting's great. The set pieces are great. It looks alien, kind of, with the way that these churches and nunneries are set up and whatnot. It's just a fantastic movie. And watching the story involve and what happens to Grandier.
Grandier.
Marnier.
Sure.
Yeah, Grandier.
Grand Marnier.
Watching the machinations of what happens to him throughout the course of this movie is just kind of mind-blowing, and it really gives you the feels. And if you walk away not feeling sorry for Oliver Reed in this movie, I don't know how I can relate. Right?
We'll get there.
But it's an interesting, even the characters though, like Grandier is definitely got problems. He is a very faulty character, but they still make you feel for him at some point.
By the
For
end,
some aspects.
by the end, yes, I will
Yeah.
give you that. Yeah, for sure.
It's just fascinating to watch it all unfold, and it tells such a complete and robust story. And then after I got done watching this and went down the rabbit hole on Wikipedia reading about the history of Loudun and everything that happened, the witches of Loudun, and how accurate this movie was, it's just really impressive.
Schnars. I had a question I was going to ask you that I forgot.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel really similarly. So one of the only things I knew about this movie is that it was a quote unquote banned movie. And so when you hear that, at least for me, I'm kind of like there's going to be, I don't know, something grotesque, or it's going to be, like you expect it to go places that are like, I don't know, too transgressive, or I guess I don't know what my expectations were. I probably should have, if I put it in the frame of like Clockwork Orange, which is a film that I love, like I might have come into this with a bit of a different perspective, which whatever, it's not neither here nor there. I was shocked how good this movie was. Like it's just really, really, really well made. y'all hit on a bunch of it, right? Like the set design itself is just phenomenal. I like didn't have a chance to read about the production as much as I would have liked, because I'm very curious. Like I think it must have been soundstage or like largely on
It
some
said
kinds of
shot in
sets.
something studios at the end, some kind of famous British studio situation.
Is it
Back
okay?
lot of Pinewood Studios, almost the entire movie.
Yeah.
It's a really
mean,
impressive like set of a city basically that they built.
Well, and they do a great job of, I've been to like some of the, like, I did a trip. It's been a long time. I don't want to make it seem like I've been going all the time. Like 8 years ago, I was in the south of France and we went to like Avignon and we went to Arles and like all these places. And they look like that. Like, I mean, obviously this is 300, 400 years ago, but like it was, I don't know. It's like what you can imagine they would have looked like when they were new or when they were fresh, when the walls were just recently built. So, I mean, it's kind of incredible. We hit on, I mean, Oliver Reed is just a delight. I've forgotten. I was like looking over his credits. He's like the main dude in The Brood. It's like that's like a top 5 for me. I mean, like fucking love Oliver Reed. Like can't say enough good things. The guy who I was not familiar with, who I thought is incredible in this, is Father Barre, or Barry or Barre. And like I was looking through his credits.
Is he the witch
bit,
hunter?
I'm like, he's
exactly.
my
favorite.
He's
He's the blonde one.
crazy. Yes.
He's the
it's
Shars
awesome.
of the priests. Yes.
Correct. Yes. I need glasses, obviously, but
Oh,
if I
sure.
was wearing Joe's
Guys,
glasses, it
We
would-
could do a great cosplay. John, you have to do that one.
I
feel like
need-
Joe, you
Yeah,
got the
yeah.
strong
I need to know if those were period accurate glasses because they felt so 70s and it was like taking me out of
Oh,
it.
they were very much Lennon glasses, right?
Right.
yeah. Those
adds
like
to
they
the-
didn't.
it
They
hon-
didn't send him a costume.
It
They were
honestly
just like,
adds to the weirdness because not just the glasses, but that guy's just presence feels so out of time in that movie, but he's so electric. It's like it's so
Yeah.
much fun.
I loved his obvious work gloves with like crosses ironed on.
Yeah, I mean, part of it was I just didn't know what I was walking into, and I think I might have even watched that trailer, which obviously like 70s trailers, like they're fucking worthless. But
John, it makes me happy when we can surprise you with something and bring you genuine movie joy.
well, this is I got to tee up the baby next, I guess, because
You fucking
here we
bet
are.
your ass you do.
The baby is the fucking best.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of other things we'll hit on. The thing, I guess, if I was going to put forward one question, is like, so we watched the unedited or director's cut of this version. Like, there's a cut of this movie that the only reason it was banned is for like religious like nonsense. Like it was not. It's not so crazy. I mean, it like presents Catholicism in an interesting light, and it sort of profanes against Catholic idols. But I mean, in the version we watched, to an extreme extent, I would say. But otherwise, like this movie, I don't know, like it felt modern in that like it could get made. Like there's like something like this that could get done. It's that like Catholicism doesn't have the weight today that it did back then.
Yeah.
And so like I don't know, like who would bother to make it? Like I guess the comp for me is something.
Verhoeven.
Well,
Yeah.
I haven't seen Benedetta or whatever. I think that's what it's called.
Mhm.
But I would really like to, because I was talking to someone at work about this movie and they referenced that. The other movie this like made me think of was Climax. Just, I mean, for obvious reasons. So, but like that's a movie that, if anything, I think doesn't get talked about enough. Where I'm like,
Climax? I love Climax.
Yeah. No, I mean we talk about it,
Yeah.
but like in
It's
the
good stuff.
general culture.
Yeah, I'm very much on board with everybody here. I had never heard of this. You know me, John. I'm a cinematic rube.
do.
It's okay to admit it.
Yes.
Never heard of it.
You've seen every cut of every Friday the 13th
Yeah.
movie, though.
I have my lanes. This is not one of them. That's why Joe's here tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
But I saw like last year I was just hanging out. I was like winter, and I saw a Shudder tweet like The Devils is leaving Shudder this Friday. Check it out. And like something about their tweet, they said something like kind of ominous, and I was like, huh, that's weird. Clicked on it, watched it, blew my mind. just blew my head right off my shoulders. Like, I couldn't believe I hadn't heard of this film. Like Casey, the first time I saw it, riveted the whole way through. Like, could not look away. It is a gorgeously shot film. I think it perfectly captures the kind of hysteria of like breakdown moments in human history where things go bad, right? And especially in this period of time where it's a really claustrophobic film. So you have people packed in a city, there's a plague going on, there's now a threat from the outside, and you see that slowly break down until it just crescendos with this like nun exorcism / orgy like that goes on for 20-30 minutes or something. And the way in which the film captures that kind of chaos, like the fabric of society melting down, is, to say it's unsettling, I think is an understatement. Like I said, it is also just very beautifully shot. And like everyone has said, it features this very specific kind of acting that you just don't really get nowadays. This kind of 70s mix of just truly true Hollywood degenerates who are probably drunk most of the time, but also like probably I would guess.
Wait, who are the drunk people that you're referencing?
I think they're all
Oliver
drunk.
Reed.
I think they're all
Oliver
drunk
Reed.
and on
But
drugs.
Ken Russell, I don't know that he.
And I would argue
we
that-
shouldn't
Ken Russell was
slander-
drunk by noon almost every
Stop
day.
it. Really?
And I would bet
I trust Joe on this.
I would
not
also
Eric, though.
bet that
Just
most
to
of
be
these most of these actors give off a vibe that they are like classically stage trained, which lends itself like perfectly to this kind of movie. And so you've got this combination of this like highbrow acting training with like just true Hollywood or whatever the British equivalent is. Like, it's like it makes me think of like Quentin Jaws, right? Like if that guy's not shit faced every day, does he turn in one of the most legendary performances of all time? And I'm for artists destroying themselves if it means the art is better. John is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I mean,
But
wouldn't argue.
it just brings this like Looney Tunes vibe to this movie is the only way I can put it. And by the time like the Witchfinder General comes in, that dude is like, he is everyone else is at least pretending like they're in a period piece. He is acting like he's in Clockwork Orange or something, like straight into a 70s movie.
Or Tommy.
Shot out of a fucking cannon. Yeah, like he's in a 70s, like Jesus Christ Superstar. That's the exact vibe this guy's giving. It's just so much fun. A fascinating thing about it is that, man, the first time I saw it, watching it with my modern movie eyes, I did not know what to make of it. Because I did not know who the protagonist was until I literally paused the movie and went and read Wikipedia. Because the movie starts with Grandier, right? He has been making sweet love to, we'll call it love. He's a romantic. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
To this like this girl who in this like maniacal face paint, which just made me want to vomit, but that must be some cultural thing, I'm sure. So like, but what we see is they're in bed and she tells him he's pregnant and he immediately, it's like the funniest scene in the movie. He sits up and he has like an entire poem already written about how it was real while it lasted. Better kick rocks, kid. Like later. And she's like, fucking what? But it immediately, with modern movie eyes, to me, codes him as a bad character. Like you've got a priest here abusing his power, and like there's no sympathy whatsoever for this woman coming from him. Like he's literally just like, peace out, bitch. And like, so then these other like people come into town, and I'm like, okay, are they like good guys? Because this guy's like a tyrant, right? But then, I mean, like I said, I had no effing idea until I read the Wikipedia. And I wonder if anybody else had like a similar experience the first time. In fact, watching it the second time, I again paused it like 15 minutes in and went and read the Wikipedia. It's also just, but it's a thing I kind of like about the movie. I mean, moviegoers are going to constantly have their lens changed just by whatever society is at the time, right? And film criticism. I'm not saying that as a criticism of the movie. It was an interesting thing for me. But kind of what I like about it is that it's also this really dense historical moment that he gives no attempt to really flesh out for you. Like, it is a film sort of presented as is. It's either presented as like, you do know about this, or they don't care. He doesn't care, and he's just dropping you in the middle of it. And what I kind of liked about that is like, I'm also an atheist, so like, blasphemy means nothing to me. I feel, Casey, you mentioned the word alien, which is really interesting to me. There is like actually an alien feel to the architecture, especially in the religious institutions, which is just a really visually interesting thing. But I almost in my own way felt like an alien, like impartial observer being lowered down into a moment in human history where society is crumbling and just like popping my popcorn. Like that's kind of how I felt. I really was not invested in anyone, but because it's so batshit crazy, it feels like being a voyeur in a moment of like just awful history in a
Well, and that was
sort
a
of
really
removed
important
way.
part of what happened. I mean, like there are spectators throughout almost every scene of this movie, and that's kind of where you end up.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And I do agree, like, you know, the movie, and I guess in true life, like he repents in some way and he tries to sort of change his ways. It's it's funny kind of, and I think it's just because like how, to me, it doesn't feel very genuine, and I think it has a lot to do with the actor's performance because he just goes so hard with his like philandering ways and not giving a shit that it seems like he only really gives a shit when he kind of starts losing power because of what's happening. But I do think
I didn't fully understand that at first. Like,
when you see though, but when you see the totality of the conspiracy against him, of course you're
Yeah.
like, well, that's kind of fucked up. Like,
Well,
because
but-
these people don't, because these people are charlatans too in their own way. Like, they're fully just leveraging this religious hysteria to take power. So I'll finish,
hold
but I
on,
was just gonna say, this is what's interesting to me about this movie, is the many different ways you can kind of approach like what they're presenting to you.
Yeah.
he doesn't repent for the previous behavior, but he does.
He tries to be
Change.
better in the
Well, he
future.
basically like falls in love. I mean, the way I read
It's
it,
just
is
like happens in a scene, I think, is the issue. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
well,
we see
and it's-
we see more of his like post "you're pregnant" later poem than we do him like falling in love with that
and-
woman.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny because he like the marriage happens pretty quickly, and so it's like it didn't feel like, I was also similar. Like, wait, what is going on right now? Like, why is he marrying this woman? But then he is genuinely converted to this idea of like reaching God through the love of a woman. I mean, that's at least how he presents it later, but it seems honest. At least it's presented that way through this like one scene where he
For
goes
sure.
on like a very short pilgrimage into the like
For sure,
into the,
but like,
well,
and
not
it's like
wilderness, but-
it's always that struggle of like having to pull back your own modern lens or values or
Well,
whatever.
Yeah, but that's what's great about the character, though, because he admits, I'm a shitty priest. I love women, and I'm going to keep loving women, but I didn't do this shit.
Well, the actor's also just like insanely charismatic, which like
Yeah,
works in
yes.
his favor.
Well, and also the timing of this is pretty fuzzy. I mean, like we see a decent amount of time pass, and it looks really fast. Like the wedding and falling in love happens really fast, but by the end, we see the baby.
Yes.
It's like a whole like 12-month-old baby at the end
yeah.
that's watching the execution. So like, time is passing.
I
in
straight
this,
up
but
thought that dude was gonna throw that
True.
baby in that fire. Like,
it looked a little bit like
he
it at
seemed a
certain
little
point.
unhinged.
And what a quote, like, lucky little bastard. It's not every day babies see their daddies burned to death. Like,
Dude,
Yeah,
What the-
no shit.
I feel like George Martin may have been inspired by the scene when he wrote the ending of the first Game of Thrones book.
even just the political intrigue that
Is similar.
like this is a multi-layered, like, was it like Cake Boss or whatever, like those, like this is multi fucking layered on having an insanely complex main character that, yes, you're not supposed to know who you're rooting for at first,
Yeah.
and then the political intrigue, the religious intrigue, and then expanding that out to essentially look at the fall of an independent city-state in France.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And-
the end is pretty. I mean, it is rubble.
Another character, an actor that I think steals every scene he's in is the King. I don't know who this dude
big
is,
time.
but just
Yeah.
The
another
most like live.
Yes.
Bye bye
Well,
Blackbird.
another truly
That's-
unhinged performance. That's really
It's Louis
good.
the 13th, right?
And
Yeah.
again, another performance that feels right out of like A Clockwork Orange or something.
But Eric, you had said like the film opens with whatever with Grandier. There's actually this scene. The first scene of the movie is Richelieu and the king.
Right.
Well, no, it's the king performing, right? To
Mhm.
Richelieu.
Yes.
The king in
Birth
drag.
of Venus.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
at the
he is in
time-
drag because you're right. It's Venus. You're right.
Yeah, it's Birth of Venus, but at the time, women weren't usually on stage, so it would make sense
Yeah.
that. But also, like the whole like ego of it all, I feel like it's a perfect way to start. It really sets us up to, like there is a little bit of ambiguity of like, do I root for Grandier? Do I root for someone else? But like,
No,
from the
this-
get for me, I was like, nah. Fuck
No.
that guy! Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is not what we're rooting for.
But, like,
We are
but
rooting
you're
for this dude
also-
who's like rooting around.
Well,
Well, the
but weirdly
crown and-
too, right? Like the king is almost a neutral-ish fate. Like you're almost rooting. You are rooting for the king to intervene on behalf of Grandier.
Well,
basically.
because Richelieu is coded as like just pure
I
like,
didn't. Okay.
grasping.
Maybe you guys can explain
scuzziness.
this to me, right? So there's the scene. There's the orgy scene, which contains this excised footage where the nuns actually take the Jesus statue off the wall and do
The
things.
crucifix,
Call it
some
a
would call it.
crucifix. Yeah.
Whatever. I don't give a shit. I grew up Catholic. I don't care.
Yeah.
I had enough of that. So, but like they do things to it, right? And like, it's
You could say
interesting.
they masturbate on it.
It's interesting
fine.
in this cut because you can tell it's like must have been work print footage or something because it definitely is not like fully,
It hasn't been through like post at least.
Joe,
The
what were you
fucked
gonna
up thing is there's apparently pristine footage. Like it should have all been looking at the same quality,
Mhm.
but Warner Brothers pulled back after showing how it was supposed to be intercut the way it is,
Yeah.
but they
But
pulled back, and then people had to kind of work.
But you know what's interesting though is it almost makes it feel more lurid because like you know exactly what got excised
Yeah.
and it makes it look so much dirtier. I feel
Yeah.
like.
We gotta get Criterion on this bitch.
But, okay,
just
so during
Criterion
that
Collection
scene,
up on this.
I
like, come on.
mean that scene, the initial exorcism scene, then leading into the church orgy, I think I would call it easily one of the most intense scenes in film history, like sequences in film history. It's incredible. It ends with the king showing up. Wikipedia says in disguise, but he wears the mask for like 4 seconds and then he takes it
No,
off.
but he
Yeah.
he announces himself as something else. Like he never
Yeah.
right.
he never admits to being
What I
him.
didn't
Every-
He
like,
understand-
certainly
announces
everyone
himself
knows
as a
he's-
duke.
What I didn't
Yes.
understand. What I didn't understand is he fully outs the hypocrisy by basically handing the
Yeah.
handing the witch hunter priest a fake relic, which he then
Mhm.
uses and the women react to, right? And then the king takes it out of his hand and reveals that there's nothing in it. What I don't understand is why that didn't trigger the king to like intervene. Like he just wanted to know and then he left. Like I don't. That part confused me because then the king just disappears after that, right? He doesn't really reappear.
So
Go, Joe. No, please.
Russell's whole intent is kind of showing the farce behind it all. It's similar with the scene when you see the king shooting a gun off to the side, and then you see him shooting giant, like men dressed as birds,
Like actually killing them. Yeah.
Protestants.
Right. So it's all
dressed as
so
birds.
so you could look at it
I don't
as
judge Casey.
so you could look at it as the king just continuing to like bemuse himself with other people's misfortune kind of thing.
Well, the king also, I mean, and I think historically speaking, like at this point, the church is more powerful than the king. So the king only has so much power
Mhm.
to intervene here. The like, this thing was like pretty far down the tracks. He also probably didn't have a huge stake in it going one way or the other. I mean,
It's a great scene in the
Richelieu may
movie.
have-
I just don't totally
Yeah.
I don't fully understand it, I guess.
well, it was meant to kind of, to Joe's point, to highlight how much of a farce it was, to show that the king understood it was a farce. But the
Mhm.
fact that he doesn't step in is also just sort of
Yeah, kind of tells you everything.
furthering that point.
Right, because the whole conflict was based around Richelieu saying, "We need Loudun," and the king saying, "I promised them I wouldn't take their walls down." Right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Joe, quick question. You really loved, if I recall correctly, the new Space Jam.
No, I know what you're doing.
Yeah, we mentioned
It's
we
like
I
that Mad
we,
Max scene where I'm like, this is bait.
we
Yeah,
mentioned
yeah.
it. We mentioned it. We mentioned it last week that like there's a cameo from the Vanessa Redgrave nun. Like, what the
That's right,
ever
yes.
loving fuck? Why?
Well, because it's Warner Brothers. I mean, they just like own.
But
that,
it's but
so
it's not
they-
even like it's.
Property.
Listen, it's not even like they were like putting filler in the background to fill the scene. She's in the front row of the extras.
Eric, you gotta maximize that IP, bro.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's just-
They
is there more?
They own all of the footage. They literally have the negatives for the entire film and could restore it via Criterion. Hey, shit, they could like send it to Criterion,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and they refuse to. And then she shows up in Space Jam 2. I'm looking at it and break my goddamn TV.
Not
Half
even
star.
not
How
even the
dare
good
you, LeBron?
not even the good
I
Space
trusted
Jam.
you.
I
Can
do.
we- Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead, Kate.
Well, I mentioned it because that we get the figure of the nun in of the Sister Jeanne in Space Jam 2, and I really love her performance. I mean, I don't think enough things. I could say more about Oliver Reed's performance because it is really good and he's really compelling, but she is great in this.
Yeah,
she
she
is
is.
so just like beyond horned up. Like the scene at the end, because I actually texted Joe because I was like, is she doing what I think she's doing with this charred femur bone? Because that was not in the original cut that I saw.
Masturbating.
Yeah, fully. And like this was, I imagine, a tough role. She's got like she's getting like a boiling water enema at a certain point. Like it is really intense, and she does a great job of being just like unhinged and also dedicated. It's very bizarre. I loved her performance. I loved the shaved head nun's performance too. There's a lot of close-up shots of her, but yeah, all of these were great. But I did want to give a special shout out to our hunchback Sister Jeanne.
Her line delivery of like all of a sudden clucking out this laughter as she's like, ah!
She's
Like, and
she's
then-
incredibly creepy.
Yeah. Well, even her our first glimpse of her when she's kind of fantasizing over Grandier as she sees him walking through the court at the beginning of the movie, I didn't even realize she was hunchbacked at first. I mean, I know we saw her in weird positions earlier, but it wasn't until that fantasy sequence and they show her deformation and whatnot, it just added so much all of a sudden to the character.
I had no, like, that was like very shocking, and the way it's
Yeah.
sort of revealed in that first scene that she's in, or that first extended scene she has. Yeah, it's so
Even when she's praying, she's like, like whispering in this like frenetic prayer, like "Take my hump, take my hump." It's just like everything about her performance is so compelling
know.
and just like creepy. It's so
well.
good.
So this is the thing I was gonna ask is like, I'm gonna ask it, and like I think I know the answer, but like, is this really a horror movie? Like, it is horrific.
I think yes. I think so.
There's
Well-
exorcisms, even if it's her face.
John,
her
listen.
face-
John, listen.
There's
You know,
exorcisms.
I always say this. This is a horror movie if for no other reason than that there is no other genre that would have this movie, and we're a big tent
Yeah.
here
Yeah, no,
at the
no,
horror genre.
that's totally fair, and I support that. I think what's weird to me, so like, if you watch the trailer, and if you look at the poster, like there's the like main iconic sort of like black and red poster, it makes it so the thing, like, I don't know, there's like other 70s horror movies that they were clearly trying to point audiences to. And look, I think partially they didn't know what the hell to do with this movie as if it's not a horror movie. It, for whatever reason, it made me think of Don't Look Now, or Don't Look Now, Don't Look Now, not Don't Look Back. And I think it's like that sort of like European, like they actually have very little in common with each other. Maybe some cinematography. I don't know. Like, there's just like other movies from this era that they were clearly trying to like signal to consumers that this was like, but it's not like them. Like, I've never seen anything quite like this. If anything, it's a historical drama, but it's just like a historical drama that goes fucking bonkers and contains
by just being real. Like,
Yeah,
and
no, well, exactly.
of course it's dramatized, but like it for personally, it was hard for me to come out of this movie not just being raging mad at religion, like in general. Like, I want every like modern casual religious person to have to watch this movie because like to
Well,
me,
Yeah.
the book you're reading is like you're 2 clicks away from what happened
Well,
in this movie, as
Eric,
far as I'm concerned.
so I hate to be the person defending religion, just to be clear, but
I may be right there with you, Schnars. Which
well, I was just gonna, like, at this point in time, religion basically is kind of inseparable from government or from like the way society is organized, and so it's like there's also just like a level of, I mean, look at our politics today.
Have you
is
been
it
watching the news?
Well, I was going to say, like, it's grosser than what is presented here to a certain extent. I mean, there's not exorcisms happening, so that's like a positive. Like, American citizens aren't being tortured, but like lots of other people are.
I don't know that I
like-
believe either thing you just said, John.
yeah, well, that's fair. I mean,
Now that we're on the point, though, John, to answer your question, I do think it's horror because A, it's on Shudder, or it was on Shudder. B, it's called The
that's
Devils.
That's the other. Like, well, it's on Shudder.
On Shudder, The Devils. There's exorcisms, and also, I mean, this isn't the point of it, and it's not like we get a ton of close-ups on it, but there is an extensive torture scene.
Yeah, totally.
Mhm.
Totally.
Which is,
Look,
I mean, you're right, it is horrific, but it's a period piece. It's like maybe more horror adjacent, but I'm gonna claim it because, like Eric said,
no.
we're gonna take it.
It's a
I'm
scary
here
movie.
for it. Just to
dude.
be clear,
I know.
I wanted to register the question. I think it is interesting. If anything, I think it pigeonholes this movie unfairly because there's a lot of other people that should. I also think we watched this extended cut again. If you watch, I'm curious, and Joe, you've probably seen it. Like the more normal cut is probably less crazy. I mean, it's definitely less crazy. Like there's less like crucifix humping going on. So like
the whole
presumably
rape of Christ scene, and that's what is commonly referred to, isn't there.
yeah.
I did like how it's interspliced to show the juxtaposition with him having a mass on the road.
Yeah.
But
Do they show them take it off the wall in the original cut?
yeah,
But then they just cut away.
yes.
And was this the one we watched? Is that what was on Shudder, or was Shudder like the edited
No.
cut?
It's not. No.
Gotcha.
Shudder has it does it when it gets grainy-ish. That's when Shudder cut.
Yep.
Gotcha.
It's just kind of like
So this is a bootleg thing basically we watched.
A bit. Yeah, it's a bit more extended. Apparently, there's more footage, which is harder to attain. Which I guess is just the scenes, expanded upon.
Interesting.
Find it.
There is this scene
Trying to.
that like I have to mention because it was just gorgeous. Like when it's the second time I think we see the cardinal and we're in some kind of religious building. So first of all, like just all the religious architecture, it's hard to describe. It's like very geometric and beautiful, but also very cold. Like all this just white tile and there's no color and huge iron doors and like it's kind of breathtaking, but in a like way that makes you uncomfortable, I think. But there's this whole scene where the cardinal turns a corner. Now, when I say turns a corner, what I mean is he is being carted like Hannibal Lecter by like 4 nuns. Like,
On a
because I
dolly.
guess he can't walk or he doesn't want to walk or whatever.
yeah, it's like it's like a loading.
But
dolly.
he turns the corner. He
He
walks
probably
down
has
this.
polio.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
wa-
he definitely had something. Like
he
it wasn't
walks
like
down-
he was choosing to be.
He
I
walks
thought it
down.
was.
No.
He walks down this long hallway. There's people in the background of the scene coming and going. It's basically like almost choreographed like a scene from a musical to the point where it's like it's just like lyrical to watch it. It's a really beautiful scene that to me is like this is real filmmaking genius here when you watch something like this. And not every scene is necessarily choreographed that way. It's actually an interesting juxtaposition to later on when the chaos kicks in, because those scenes are just pure chaos, right? And like almost just swinging the camera around and capturing what you can. It's just a visually really stunning movie.
It is. And are they building a prison there?
I have no idea.
believe so.
Okay.
No, I thought that was a library, and my takeaway was that they had like bars over the books to
Oh.
prevent, like, it was like a we control the knowledge type
And a
situation.
prison of its own, man. You know what I mean?
Uh, John, it sounds like my #1 movie of the year, Into the Night. Into the Night? Is that what that was called?
Wait, you mean the rotoscope movie?
Yeah, what was that called? I don't know.
Spine of Night.
Spine of Night. Yeah.
Spine of Night.
I don't know what
And
Into the
actually,
Night
it's
is.
your number 2, just to be pedantic.
Well, in my head.
So-
We're in my head.
Really quick. So Richelieu was the main villain in the Three Musketeers. I was looking to see.
I was really over
on his
here.
Wikipedia page.
I was waiting with bated breath to find that information out. So thanks, Schnars.
Well, I wanted to see if there was anything on his Wikipedia page about him having some kind of thing. The place I know, like in that very first scene when he's watching the king perform, he's in a wheelchair or he's in some kind of.
I didn't
like-
really notice, honestly. I think I was
Yeah.
too like stuck on the king to like notice what was going
Yeah,
on with
we
that.
were
dude.
focused on the birth of Venus there.
That's fair.
On
Yeah.
the set design, Russell makes such an interesting decision in working with his set designer that when you think of period pieces, I think of Braveheart and I think of these crumbling monarchs and these castles that we think of in modern day. And this is where I think this movie sets itself apart from other period pieces, is he approached it that, no, this is a modern city where it's happening. Things were pristine. Things were modern. And that's why I think it gives it that weird amalgamation of feeling 70s of when it's made. Everything is pristine and all of that. And so, yeah, they had to build all of that from scratch on that backlot.
But a lot of that set dressing in this movie kind of reminded me of Jodorowsky
Yeah.
Sure.
because it seems alien to the time period, right? Especially with the convent and his quarters, etc., and the church. It looks kind of futuristic for that time period.
Well, the certainly the intro with the king, it reads very Jodorowsky. Like I was like, oh shit, this is not the Holy Mountain.
Right.
And if you liked that sort of like it's a theatrical design, almost I would even say like Wes Anderson, like if you're looking for modern filmmakers on how they do their framing, Russell ended up doing Salome's Last Dance, and it is very much like that, except set in a much smaller space.
I don't know what that is. Schnars is pretending that he does.
Well, I was trying. It's I mean, I know the reference. But in any event,
which
I
Friday?
had to read it in college.
Which Friday the 13th movie was that?
Exactly.
It's another biblical story involving the sacrifice in the head of John the Baptist and nudity, dancing, and theatrics.
There's a famous
Interesting.
stage version of it. Is it? It's like Oscar Wilde, maybe? I can't
Yes.
remember. Is it? All right.
I believe it is.
Yeah.
Joe, don't come on here and be smart. Jesus Christ.
All right, everyone.
Nerds!
We gotta wrap up our review here of The Devils so we can do some fan mail. Would you recommend this movie? Joe?
Yes.
Schnars?
Yes.
Caitlin from Richmond?
Yes.
Casey?
Absolutely.
Also yes. It's really good. All right, let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
You know, a lot of people write me and say, hey, Joe Bob Briggs, just what is monster vision? You don't need no special glasses or an insect's head, just a healthy love for slime and disrespect for the dead. We'll talk about some movies by the old double wide, and when you get that creepy feeling creeping up inside, well, then you got monster vision. It's a heck of a fright. We're tearing the heart out of Saturday night. These Monster Vision movies serve a primitive drive, 'cause watching people die can make you feel so alive. So throw away your clicker now, the flick's have begun, 'cause there's nothing you can do while fully dressed that's as fun as watching TNT beneath the bug zapper light. We're tearing the heart out of Saturday night. Tearing the heart out of Saturday night. Hey, I'm Joe Bob Briggs, and you're listening to the Bloody Good Horror Podcast.
feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
I probably overplay that bumper, but that was for you, Joe.
I appreciate that. That was a momentous night.
So good. Joe, where can people find you when you're not on Bloody Good Horror?
I mean, you can find me in the wasteland of Twitter, which I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Caitlin and I and our friend Graham do Films at First Sight, which is a podcast exploring people's first time experiencing movies. It really stemmed from me just wanting to talk movies with my friends and get them to see things they haven't seen before.
Joe, tell the truth. It was so that you could watch Mamma Mia for me.
I don't even know what that is. Well, I did learn that ABBA apparently is a band, and so that was something.
It's ABBA. Thank you.
I'm so sorry, Casey.
Love it. And so that's Films at First Sight.
Films at First Sight. And you can find the podcast wherever you get your normal podcasts. Find us on Twitter at Films at First Sight. I also have another show because Caitlin inspired me to overwork myself. And we do No Film Left Behind, which is a podcast with me and Jody from Dads from the Crypt. And we'll pack 5 or 6 movies or maybe 7 movies into a singular episode that is thematic.
Jesus Christ, bro.
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Everything.
Oh my God. Well, I'm just not doing any work anymore, so Caitlin's not inspiring me to do anything. So I'm safe. As if anybody was worried about me, I'm good.
Well, and Joe, the theme of the first episode of No Film Left Behind was
Nunsploitation.
Nunsploitation. It all circles back.
Love it.
So yeah, you find us there looking up weird movies. Our newest episode coming out is going to be a look at Stephanie Rothman, who was a female director in the 70s, protege of Roger Corman, that was doing exploitation films when not a lot of women were. It's like her and Doris Wishman. So we're highlighting all of her movies, all 7 of them.
Love it.
There's that.
And people can also find you on the Bloody Good Horror Slack from time to time.
Correct. And writing for you guys, as I believe as of today, my review of Mad God is out.
Ooh, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing next week. I'm so excited.
Eric can't wait to go to the website and read it.
bloodygoodhorror.com and patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror to get on that Slack and the live stream. So there you go. Caitlin, what's going on? And plug it up.
Had a celebrity guest this past week, Galen Howard from a lot of things, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Book of Boba Fett. He's a big horror fan, and he was on to cover Rabid. We did some Cronenberg. Thought of you, John.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a fun time. Yeah, great time. Have a couple coming up with some fan favorites. Elizabeth's got an episode coming up. And then I have my live event hosting horror trivia that I wrote at Strange Ways Brewing on Dabney Road in Richmond this Friday, the 24th at 7. And it's feeling real now. Went and saw the stage today. So
exciting. Are you nervous?
Nice.
I'm extremely nervous. Yeah.
Good luck. Let us know how
Thanks.
it goes. You have to send dispatches from the field.
I should have brought BGH stickers. What am I doing?
Do you have BGH stickers?
No.
I got a bunch of like old ones I can send.
Yeah.
For the next
Overnight
round.
Thrones.
Next round, I will bring BGH stickers.
I've
Shipping,
got a koozie I can send.
pretty much if like you can't just like bulk order, shipping is exhausting. Like sending things to people is exhausting. We've pretty much
I
given
love it.
up on that at BGH.
Joe knows I love to ship things.
Casey, Where can people find you?
I am on Instagram these days, cinema.fromage. It's all art all the time, so feel free to check it out.
Love it. You can check me out on Twitter, Eric BGH. Exciting news, John. I have like a full-length album coming out. Probably, I got to look at it. Maybe in July. It's just about finished. That's under Hi-Fi, John. You can find me hi-fi_music on Twitter.
Hyphy.
Or just search HY-FY on Spotify or Bandcamp.
All right.
So
I'll keep my eyes on Spotify.
Oh, I'll be letting you know, John. Don't worry.
I wasn't worried.
Yeah, let's do Twitter. What do we got on Twitter?
All right. On Twitter, we have a hashtag AskBGH. Ask us questions, we'll answer. First up, we have from longtime friend at Black Metal Jesus. Sorry. What is your favorite depiction of Satan or the Antichrist in film or TV?
Black Phillip.
I mean, that's
it's
good.
it's a tie for me between Tim Curry in Legend and
Ooh.
dude, like visually, it's never been done better. And then I would say I really love the depiction of the Antichrist in, oh my God, Prince of Darkness by John Carpenter, which we did on the show years and years ago.
Can I say South Park bigger, longer, uncut?
Hell yeah. Dude.
South Park Devil.
I'll
pretty good.
accept it.
Yeah.
I gotta go with the fox in Antichrist.
Yeah.
I
Chaos
was
Reigns, baby.
considering Antichrist.
Does Pinhead count? He's really more just like a player down there. He's not really.
Yeah, he's like a demon.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I have like a weird prejudice against Cenobites, so I'm gonna say no.
Really, with all
That
your
is
like,
like-
with all your
Yes.
creepy body horror love, you don't like the Cenobites?
I don't know. Not my thing.
All right, our next tweet is from @WhitneyPlease, another longtime friend, longtime listener. If you had the mark of Satan on your body, where would you want it to be?
I mean, you got to go tramp stamp, right?
I'm thinking if I'm the Antichrist, I want it in the middle of my forehead so people know, right?
yeah, I was gonna. I don't. There's a lot of sort of different angles to run at this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
John,
Casey-
you would fully go third nipple. I know you would.
Casey, you're just talking about Charlie Manson now.
On my back.
Yeah, that's fair, but if you're the Antichrist, you want people to know, right?
You know how people get tattoos on their bottom lip and they pull it down and you see it? I kind of would like that.
Devil.
Yeah.
Antichrist.
But it's like upside down.
Homemade. Stick.
I'd have to go with the bicep this way anytime anybody asks you where the gun show is.
Yeah.
Where's the devil show? It's right here.
Solid.
Also from @WhitneyPlease, what is one of your favorite episodes of BGH over the years, besides Prom Night?
I don't remember any of it. And Prom Night is not a favorite. It's just people liked it because John and I got pissy with each other.
Yeah. That made it classic, though.
I
Like,
love.
I'm like
listen,
looking at the spreadsheet
I can give
right
you
now.
I can give you like an archetype to me. To me, the shows that don't work, and that just doesn't work to me. Like some people may like these shows, but I like when we can disagree on something in a civil way and have
Yeah.
fun and joke about our disagreements. I think that's like fun for everyone. It has taken us a long time to get there, to like really get over ourselves in that kind of way. Like even years into the show, we would still have occasional shows where we would get into it with each other a little bit in a way that to me felt not fun. And sometimes like that is sometimes the Joe.
It's
you
better,
did-
it's
Joe,
better
you-
drama.
Joe, you didn't do this, but that is sometimes the dangers of having guests on the show is like when people are more raw and like ready to mix it up. I'm like, listen, we don't care that much. That's not what we're doing here. So yeah, I enjoy the show where like maybe we do disagree about a thing, but it can be used for humor and we're not pissy with each other because that hasn't always been the case.
I like the ones where we disagree.
I'm too
Yeah.
sensitive, John. You don't have
Yeah.
feelings.
I can't come up with one off the top of my head that I like. There's been so fucking many. What was the one that I got really, really drunk at? Was it Return of the Living Dead? It was one. I think it was episode like 200.
Oh man,
maybe.
that's a good question. There's
And
one.
I was like,
You talk
really
about
sloppy.
moments like years ago. I did the episode. I guess it was 500, like Supercut BGH did like a clip show kind of thing. And there was just that amazing. Do you remember the time the word of the day was degloving? And like
Yes.
it was
It was Devil. It was the movie Devil, I believe.
No,
No,
it was
no.
Gerald's game.
it was Gerald's game.
Gerald's
And just
Okay.
the way we fucking like those moments are my favorite when like you just fucking lose it and you can't take
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
My
All
least
right.
favorite was Psycho Gorman. Just kidding.
Wait, Joe Ferry, where do we land on Psycho Gorman? Pro or con?
I've never seen it and don't want to.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, that's a film at first sight right there, brother. Come on.
Man, my kids watch
John?
Power Rangers. I'm good.
We are not dragging that shit up.
Oh my god. Dude. There's
We're
a lot
busy
there for
looking
you.
at assholes like do like karaoke like Pink Flamingos.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, last up tonight we have from @FrozenFood. I did this one a while back, but I'll put it in here too so I can be official. Is which bottle rocket taken as a band name? Because if not, I'm calling it. That's a reference back to Hellbender.
That is a great band name.
It is.
And a great movie. Joe has a really good piece for the site. You interviewed the Addams Family.
I did, yes.
Da-na-na-na.
The very same.
Yes. Love that Gomez. All right. Is that it?
Instagram?
That's it on Twitter.
That was it.
That was it for Twitter. So
Let's see. We got an Instagram. We got a lot. I posted 2 days. I remember to post 2 days in a row.
Is that allowed?
I do what I want.
That's right.
Okay. Let's see. I mean, there's a lot of these, like, just the same question. If you did an Omen-style check, which member of the show would have the mark of the beast? I mean, I'm clearly the biggest heathen, I think, out of all of this.
I think it's on Eric somewhere.
I actually
Eric,
might.
that's why Eric has a beard, because it's like covering his like little 666.
It's like some eczema.
My
under that
response,
beard that's
my
in the
response
six-
to this was that my father literally called me the Dark Child because of both my proclivity for dark like entertainment and also I would sit in the dark all the time.
Yeah, it's you, buddy.
Yeah. Favorite song with devil in the title? I couldn't think of a single one.
There's a song by Azure Ray called Devil's Feet that's pretty good.
I mean, there's the
Devil
Devil
Went
Went
Down
Down
to
to Georgia. I
Georgia.
can come up
It's
with
that.
that's it.
Off the top of my head.
Shout
And
to
it's
the
not my
devil.
favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Not like true.
only because it has devil in the name, but devil inside, but in excess.
Devil in a New Dress, the Kanye song, fucking banger on my Twisted Dark Fantasy or whatever that
Yeah.
album. Whew. That's my answer.
Good job, team.
Here's a good one. Oh, yeah, this is also good. What's the evilest or the most evil movie you've ever seen? And what would you drink with it? I mean, this
Like
one,
while watching it, or like if I were with the movie, just we were together.
Evilest.
Fuck. This movie.
Joe, I feel like you've got something brewing in your brain.
Home Alone 3. Like, why would you do this?
You went a specific direction. I might go Evil Dead, like the original Evil Dead. I feel like there was darkness going on
I like
when
that.
they made that movie. I mean, in a beautiful way, obviously, but
I like it. Here's a very good question. Did you ever think you'd be doing the show for this long?
I mean,
I
No.
mean,
Nope.
I'm incapable of planning literally anything. So no, it's just like week to week. Are we still doing it? Yeah, cool.
For Joe, the question is like, do you
Yes.
think you'd be doing it one hour?
One
into the
episode.
show?
Yes.
It's 62 minutes later.
I mean, it's like, I guess
And I
we.
don't want to do it again.
I mean, we're all still enjoying it, so we're here.
Exactly.
John, confirm we're still enjoying it.
Yeah. Dear God,
much-
Caitlin. Don't
As
put me on
much
the
as I
spot.
hate to admit it, I've come to love these people. So I'm sorry.
Drunk Casey's getting emotional.
Yep.
Let's see. If you killed and ate the BGH crew, what dishes would you cook each one in?
Cook
Oh, boy.
in?
I
Like-
guess. What's your dish of choice when you're cooking
I
meat?
don't really cook that much, so
person?
I like
Some
a
kind
sheet
of-
pan.
Some kind of casserole.
I would
Lots
actually
of
take
cheese.
all
Like
of you
a-
and make a ratatouille with you.
yeah, it's like a single pot Instapot situation.
My answer was air fryer and then eaten over the sink.
Beautiful answer.
I love this. I can't wait for this. What is your ideal outside temperature / humidity / weather?
Oh, that's good.
69 degrees and wet.
Hey!
Oh my God. Got him. Yeah.
Indoors, 69 is not bad. I mean, I have my AC on 68 right now, but if we're talking like outdoors, 73 is ideal.
Yeah.
I'm
Like
going colder.
75 and no humidity.
Yeah,
I'm
no
going like
zero.
58.
Yeah, I was gonna go 55,
Dude.
cold, crispy.
50 is trash weather. 50 makes me angry.
A nice
Yeah.
It's,
fall
like,
day.
Perfect.
Yeah.
After, especially coming off of summer in the South, when you finally get like that crisp, cold day, I'm like, oh goddamn, this feels so good.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, that as soon as that happens, my arthritis starts kicking in. As- there it is.
Asked and answered.
What's your favorite demon-y horror movie?
Rosemary's Baby, probably.
Night of the Demons.
I'll go back to Evil Dead, probably.
Oh, that's good too.
I gotta go Night of the Demon and the Sasquatch one where Bigfoot rips off a man's dick.
Hell yeah.
And what movie is this?
Night of the Demon.
Eric?
Yep. Y'all gonna review Mad God? Yes, sir. Next
Yes.
week.
Nope, not doing it.
Yes, you did. You wrote for the site.
I think this is the last one. Hypothetically, where would some potential gates to hell be located in the USA? Looking for vacation ideas.
Louisiana, please. There's a hotel. Check it out.
Is there?
Have you seen The Beyond?
I was gonna say that's the Beyond.
Oh.
The Beyond is all about a literal gate to hell.
Oh, Eric, the one that Hell House LLC, isn't that a gate to hell too?
Kind
The
of.
Abaddon Hotel.
Yeah, there is kind of like a gate that opens up. Yeah. Wasn't there
That was
It's a
some?
where
little
you-
too obvious
Wasn't
if the
there kinda
hotel's
like a-
called
John-
Abaddon.
Joe, you ever seen Yellow Brick Road? Something. Isn't there kind of a gate in that movie, like a gate to hell? I'm trying to
A
remember.
little
the end
bit.
of it.
Yeah.
I've got the original
That
gate from the
goddamn
Gate to Hell.
Oh, that's a nice Easter egg. I like it, Casey. That's it on. Oh, do I have an email here? No, I do not. That's it for the Devils, episode 666. We've been doing this show since 2007. I believe the iPhone was but a few months old. Maybe 2007, was that when the iPhone came out?
We might have invented podcasts. It's hard to know. No one can remember that far back, actually.
When people
Isn't
are
that your
like,
profession?
"Hey, how do you get people to listen to your horror podcast?" I'm like, "So what you're gonna need to do is start it in 2007 when there's like
Yeah.
6."
Yeah, it helps.
That's what I got. Joe, thank you for joining us.
I'm so happy to have thank you.
You are
Yes.
delights. Check Joe out. Films at First Sight. And then what are you on social again, Joe?
PS Trophy Hunter from a personal account.
Beautiful.
It's spelled weird. you'll see me
I'll
tag.
tag you, Joe.
Good luck finding
I'll
him.
put you on
Yeah.
blast on the BGH Twitter.
Love. All right. That's going to do it for BGH. Don't forget to check us out, patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. Get the live stream, get Slack, get old episodes. Good times ahead. We will have an update soon on the Patreon exclusive t-shirt. We hit what you might call a bump in the road, but we're going to figure it out. So here we are. Yeah, that's going to do it for The Devils. And we'll talk to you soon.
See you.
Bye.
Later.
Bye-bye.